Hello and welcome to the season review of 2022 for the Carlton Football Club. Taken a week off. Obviously, the way it ended has really put a sour taste in the mouth, and I definitely needed a week, the entire week, just to process. I think it would be unfair to pin everything that went on in season 2022 on, the final game or the final two games or the final month. It would be a little unfair. It's relevant. It's very relevant for what we need to do moving forward. But I really found myself day by day seemingly getting more angry and more frustrated, and probably wasn't until yesterday when I saw Cripper get in front of the camera and say his bit. I thought he spoke very well. It wasn't really company line stuff. It was, you could tell that it was genuine hurt. And yeah, I think it's time. It's time to, get on with it. I don't think the pain of the way it ended is going to leave us leave me. I'll speak on behalf of myself, probably until we make finals. Yeah, it'll stick in the memory bank until we're there. On a human level, on a personal level, and on the whole package. Like, we put so much energy into the footy and the results, but on an actual experience, it was a really enjoyable year. It was. There was a lot of uncertainty around the club at the end of last season. Obviously, a lot of changes, the external review, the coaching change, president, CEO, a lot of change, the board. And this time last year, I went back and had a look at the review of last year and the preview of this year, and there was uncertainty. It was. We didn't know what was happening. I know this might sound a little crazy, but last year was even worse because of the complete and utter dysfunction. And so I guess the fact that we're sitting here talking about feeling really bad because of how close we were to finals and to miss out is somewhat a better problem to have, I suppose. It's still an issue, and it's still something that stings, but I can categorically say from my end, I've enjoyed this year more than any other year apart from probably 2011. I think 2022 sits right up there with 2011. But I think because there's a different feeling with this group. We have so many different ways that we feel with this group. We've been there from the very beginning, from when they were all drafted. I remember every single moment of every single one of their careers, especially the ones that started with us. And yeah, I mean, when I look back at the season preview, it was like, what did I want to see? And I spoke about the application. I was very cognizant of the fact that we were going to lose games, very much so. And I was very realistic as to where we were at. I remember saying, if we can clean up some of the losses that we had last year, we can win 3, maybe 4 more games. And in, reality, we did that. We did win a few more games. We won the 12. I remember saying 11 or 12 wins is what I would be looking for. This time last year, 11 wins got you into finals. And I think 8 of the last 9 years, 12 wins got you in. I was just so confident that was the magic number. And really, it kind of was, but for 0.6%. And I guess that goes to show what's happened in the competition. It's gotten better. It's improved. The bar consistently gets raised. And we, at the end of the day, suffered in some respects because of that. I remember talking about the Melbourne documentary that came out last year after they won the flag. And I remember watching it, and I'll never forget some of the quotes in that, whereby they were talking about there were periods of time throughout their process and on their rise up where there was just a feeling of, how are we going to lose today? I think we have a bit of that because that's all we've known with this group, how they're going to lose, how much are they going to lose by. And the standards have really dipped in that regard compared to what the club once was and what the club seemingly stands for. I think that got better. I think there were more instances this year where we were challenged and we were able to respond and fight and find a way to will ourselves over the line. Definitely not the case towards the back end of the year, but definitely steps in the right direction. I think for the most part, most of the things I wanted happened apart from playing finals. And for me personally, the pass mark was finals football. And it's a game of margins. It's a game of fractions. Yeah, we can talk about the last few games and the moments that cost us those wins, but there were many situations throughout the year that have ultimately cost us. You know, even things like missing easy shots, not hitting the right target, making the wrong decision. They're littered and they're scattered all throughout the season. You know, I wanted at a greater level of maturity. Did we get that? I think we did. I think we raised the bar in terms of our maturity. However, there are still many instances of immaturity. And I think being composed, taking our time, making the right decisions, I think that'll improve as we get even more mature. I guess I was hoping for more maturity than what we saw. The accountability, was that improved? I think so. Were we a harder team? That was the one thing I was really looking for in the preview. Were we a harder team? Yes, we were. We were definitely a harder team. I thought we started to really create an identity of what is the Carlton brand. You know, we spent 2 years with Teague and a couple of years with Bolton prior to that. And to be honest with you, I don't really know what our brand of football was amongst that entire time. So credit where credit's due. The coaching staff and the players who bought into the program really gave us more of an identity. And there was a lot of talk about respect and earning it back. Did we earn respect throughout the competition? I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. I know that we're still somewhat the laughing stock and we are the meme of the competition, but I think if you speak to the clubs, and put a survey out, like, do you respect Carlton more than last year? I think the answer would be yes. So looking back then, I think we achieved quite a few things that we wanted to see, and the hope is that it holds us in good stead. I think overall we steadied the ship. We seemingly steadied the ship as a whole package, as an entire club. And that's not to say that there's not a lot more that needs to be fixed. You know, we're coming from a long way back and the bar is low. The standards have really dipped because all we've really known is dysfunction and 5-6 win seasons or 2 win seasons. So the bar is really low. I think one of the biggest challenges next year is to raise the bar, raise the standards, even more than what we did this year. I spoke a lot about the environment in which the group is operating in. I think that was a total disaster last year, and I think that did improve this year. It improved, but needs to get better. I think there's a lot of things that improved, but still have some way to go before I can be satisfied with it and tick it off as a success. I think it would be unfair to pin the entire season on what happened towards the end, even though it will hopefully be the fuel in which drives the players in pre-season and all those extra sessions and that 10 minutes more recovery or 10 minutes more goal kicking practice or whatever it is. And it's quite beautiful how thin the margin is between pleasure and pain. And I wanted to wait until I was able to say this with confidence, but I do think that this will be the spark for the group moving forward. You know, collectively to feel such pain. I mean, previously it was just dysfunction. Now we're talking about genuine hurt, genuine pain. You know, we went throughout the year having some great wins, I would call them. Great wins, great experiences. We got to go back to the footy as an entire cohort this season. That was amazing. Like going to round 1, beating Richmond in round 1, backing it up against the Dogs in round 2. Like that, those are some of my favorite memories as a supporter. And for the year, I really did have some of my most enjoyable moments and hours and days and weeks this year. And the reality is life has both. You have the ultimate ecstasy and you have the ultimate devastation. And we got to experience both. And what a pleasure that is. People go and live through their lives for decades not loving something or not having a passion for something and searching for something that they can actually care about consistently. And I think it's safe to say that I definitely have found my thing. I think a lot of us have as well. That's what makes the community so great. And that's what makes the club so special. I hope it stings everyone. I hope it really stings, because there's no more talk about the rise and the rebuild. It's done. The rebuild is over. We're not rebuilding the list anymore. I genuinely believe the core 12 to 15 players that play every single week are going to be, this is it. This is them. And for the next period of time, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it is with this core group now, this is it. This is us. And we on this side are going to ride the roller coaster of whatever it is they're able to produce. Could they have been better this year? Yeah, for sure. I think that's the part that disappoints me the most, because I was so happy and proud and excited for them because of what they were able to do throughout the season and really start turning it around, and to not get the reward for it at the very end is what disappoints me the most. The thing that I'm struggling to make the most sense out of, if I'm honest, is when we get to the period of time where we have Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, and Collingwood, the 4 final games, when we get there and we're so close, how did the group manage to get complacent and plateau? I would have thought that you get there so close and it gives you a little bit more motivation just to perform a little bit more, just to get it over the line. And the fact that we rose so much, got to this point where we just needed one win from the 4 and then seemingly dipped in our energy. That's the part that I can't make sense of it. That's the truth. I don't understand how that happens and why that happens. Like, we can all hypothesize around the mental application and the complacency. It's all just a theory, and maybe with time it'll make sense. But I think there is a reality, and it rings true all throughout life. You have to have these type of bone-shattering experiences to draw on, to be better from. Cripper said it very well in his video. You go one of two ways. You sit here and cry about it, or you can get on with it and be better for it. And unfortunately for us on this side, we have to wait and hope that they put more work in, hope that they do the extras, hope that they aren't mentally scarred by it, and hope that we improve for it and come out next year and play finals football, play in a prelim, win a flag. Like, why not? Why not? Why can't it be us? I am a little unsure about the genuine belief of the group. I'm a little bit unsure about the genuine motivation of the group. And the reason I say that is because of what I just mentioned, with the final 4 weeks coming and seemingly dipping in energy from that Adelaide game to that Brisbane game. I know we finished strong in that game. And then finally we saw that motivation, we saw that rise of energy against the Ds, and then somewhat against the Pies, even though it was only 1 quarter of performance. A pretty good quarter, but still 1 quarter out of 4. So I'm left asking more questions. I'm left being grateful for being able to go to the footy and experience what we did. And, you go back and watch the fan cam compilations from the wins, and you just sort of see how happy we all were and how excited we all were. And I think that's awesome. I have no regrets about any of it. There was a lot that I was wrong about, a lot. And that's the beauty of this. I remind people all the time, there's no right, there's no wrong. There's just documentation of thoughts and opinion and discussion. I'm not here to be the person that dictates this is how it is. I'm here to document what I feel about things, and whether they come to fruition or not remains to be seen. I said this last week. There's the ultimate optimist, there's the ultimate pessimist. I'm definitely more towards the optimist. Let's be honest. I live with the fairies, mate. I love it. I'm like a little child. The club brings out my inner childlike spirit. And I'm someone that believes you should never lose that. But I'm done believing in blind faith. The lid is going to be firmly on until we play finals football. That's just something I have to do. I have to mature and I have to evolve with that. I'll always back the group in. I'll always be grateful for the club and what it's done for me and what it's done for us. But yeah, it was, fuck mate, it's tough. It's tough to do. It's tough to watch. So there's a lot there. I think, with Vossi, I think his last press conference was the best of the lot. He's spoken really well all year for the most part. I think at the end it was just really good to see him say it, say the words, why are we so scared to talk about finals? I love the fact that it was put out there into the ether. I love the fact that it was blatantly spoken to the world like it was coming from a real Carlton person and it wasn't scripted. It was just real. And that's, I guess, the next part for this. Like, why is there a fear to talk about what our ambitions are? In fear of what? Getting ridiculed if it doesn't happen? Mate, we're going to get ridiculed either way. Either way, you're going to get ridiculed in anything you do. So I want there to be a greater level of ambition. And I want there to be a greater level of fearlessness. Like, don't be afraid to put it out there. What do you want? What are you striving to achieve? I think I've learned a lot this year around the whole process and outcome conversation. And at the end of the day, if you focus purely on outcome to determine whether or not you're going to be happy, I think that can get you in a bit of strife and you can find yourself in a situation where you rely on something that's so far out of, seemingly out of your control based on an outcome as to how you feel. You need to generate an understanding that, life moves in moments. And if you blink, you miss it. I've been saying it all year. We've had some really good moments this year. The other, I guess, scary reality is there's no guarantee. Just because we were 0.6 of a percentage point out of finals in 22, it does not mean that we're definitely going to play finals next year. There's a lot going on in this league. Teams will improve. I can think of 3 to 4 clubs that didn't make finals that are going to be a lot better for it next year, for sure. The landscape changes a lot. We have no right to play finals football next year just because we're the Carlton Football Club and we have 16 premierships and, we're the greatest and the premiership quarter. It actually means nothing. We're so far removed from that era. We have to earn it. We have to earn it. And I don't want to get to a situation where we were hearing things like, yeah, this year will be a success if we don't play finals because of the environment we've created. I think it says a lot about what the ambition of some people was. Are we just happy with improving? I don't think so. I mean, I'm talking about being grateful and happy with the moments that we enjoyed this year, but there needs to be, at the end of it all, like, yes, all these good things happened, all of these improvements were made, but it's okay to say we failed. It's actually okay. Because if you think this year was a total success, what are you striving for? Where's the margin for what you want to go for next year? Those are the thoughts that creep into my mind. I'm sure all of them would have had a much more enjoyable year from the one before. And I'm sure all of us did. But yeah, we're going to sit there with the reality of watching 8 other teams play finals football while we don't. And that's tough. It was good to see, I think, the leadership of our leaders in general. It was a step in the right direction. It was good to see Patrick Cripps play with the force and the energy and the inspiration that he did. I think he took a big step forward. He led the club better than what he did last year. I was really worried about him for 2 seasons because he seemed to have lost this spark, and that seemed to be regained. Now we have the context of the external review, the dysfunction, the wrong coaching group, and all of that, the game plan, whatever. Now it kind of makes sense now that the time has healed. But it was good to see, really good to see him back to his best. Charlie Curnow, I mean, so many years out, I think we were all avoiding the conversation around Charlie. It was a real soft spot. It was like, let's not talk about Charlie because you can't expect anything of him. He blew past expectations. Adam Saad, All-Australian, phenomenal effort. Really getting comfortable now as a true Carlton person. And I think now his identity is wrapped up as a Carlton man because of what he's achieved. Sam Doherty, not much more needs to be said. 12 months ago, a lot of us were shaving our heads, getting behind him, getting behind a man who none of us, or most of us, don't even know personally, but we feel this love and this connection. And I'm sure that is a huge tick for the unity of the club, the supporter base with the club. So, those stories. And then, you have improvements around with some players who had career best years, which we'll touch on when I'll do the player reviews in the future. Still got a few more videos to come out. But once we get to the player reviews, I remember this time last year saying there were probably 2 or 3 or 4 that improved from the year before. Whereas this year, I think we'll be talking about quite a few more. So, yeah, I think when it comes to the channel and the entire documentation of the year, it was an unbelievable ride. It was unbelievable to ride the bumps with everyone. We got to see more people comfortable to come on camera on the fan cams. I think one of the more underrated aspects of the fan cams, if you actually watch them evolve, people come on and they bring a high level of intellect, and that is crucial for this to work. There's a duty here. I don't take this channel lightly. Like this is serious work. I don't take myself too seriously. You got to take the piss out of yourself, especially if you're coming online and you're putting yourself out there. You can't take yourself too seriously. But I think this whole mechanism as a whole needs to be taken seriously because ultimately it's a representation of the club. So I definitely want to shout everyone out that contributes in one way or another here. I think we've seen some serious growth in some of the individuals here, but don't get me wrong, got to improve. There's a lot that I failed on executing this year, and I will definitely be better for it next year. I learned a lot about time management, learn a lot about managing people, managing expectations, and I've got a lot to improve on. So rest assured that will happen. So yeah, I put out a question box on Instagram for people's season reviews, summaries, just short ones. There was one here. I won't reveal the name because I haven't got permission to just yet, but it actually made me laugh. It was, we came, we saw, we crumbled. just made me giggle a bit. And you have to laugh. You have to laugh about it. You've got to bring some humor into it. Otherwise you go totally insane. A few here, a tease of what we can and will be, but ultimately showed where we're currently at. This one was from blues.afl. I don't think he'll mind me revealing his name, but I think that's the other part as well. We saw a real evolution in the industry. Like what's my observations as to what's happened with fan engagement. And fan engagement is not handball competitions at the stadium on game day. That's not fan engagement. That's not, I don't know why the league and the industry identifies that as fan engagement. That's just so incorrect. Online, what has happened is remarkable. We have so many podcasts, so many content creators who are essentially doing God's work for the club. Like all of us, we're putting our time and effort in to create content and create noise and create engagement to bring people in. And I really noticed an evolution in that. We have so many people who are now comfortable to do it. And it's awesome. It really is. I love the fact that the culture has turned around. I remember starting out in this game, and I remember every single person older than me. Every single one. Every single one. There wasn't a feeling of collaboration, whereas now we've got this culture of collaboration. People want to work together. I think that is really special, and I hope that that continues. It's not a competition. It really isn't. It's important that we have differences and we have discourse and we have a platform in which we can disagree and not take it personally. And I just love the fact that we've started to turn the dial on behaviors within the fan base. I think it's still got more room for improvement, a lot more. And, if we're asking for the club to improve, why shouldn't we improve as fans? There are ways in which we can all improve in the way we support and the way we interact with each other, with opposition supporters. So, I definitely will be better for that as well. But overall, it's been a good ride. Things will settle. The dust will settle. The pain will still be there. But in any time like this, where you feel this type of pain, you need to let time do its thing. You need to think about it. You need to stew on it. You need to know how you can get better and execute. I know that there is this feeling within the group, based on some of the rhetoric that I've heard around, you want to have a fun environment, want people to smile and enjoy themselves. And that's totally true. That's crucial. You have to love the workplace. You have to be excited to get there. But I do think there needs to be a balance between that and when it's time to get serious, we've got to get serious. We can't get to the final month of a season and just stop. It can't happen. It just can't. We need to find a way to continue to want to be more. And if we start the season the way we did this year, next year, we have to want more and expect more and demand more as a group. So thank you for everybody who has been a part of it. There's a lot more content coming out. It's not like the channel's stopping. I ain't going anywhere. Blue Abroad Show Monday, you know what it'd be. We'll dissect all the weekly news into 1 hour every week. Player ratings, player of the year, I'm going to put that together. The tipping competition winner will be announced with the prize. And there's just a lot more coming up. We've got to get into trade period now and draft period. This is my most loathed period because the rumors and, the race to be the one that breaks the news, I don't like it. I don't care to be the newsbreaker. It's just not something that I worry about. I just react to what happens. I don't want to be known as a newsbreaker. I really don't. That's not what this is about. And I just, all the figures and the years and who we're offering, it's like, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. It's exhausting. It is exhausting. I don't want to be the newsbreaker. I don't care for who is the newsbreaker. Just be better. Win premierships. That's it. What about you? Please leave a comment below. Leave a summary below of how you defined season 2022. We'll look back on this particular video in many years to come. And hopefully this is the catalyst for the rise to a flag, whether it's next year or the year after, who knows. But share with us your thoughts about the year and we'll chat about it. And as always, go Blues.